day God was kicked out of school. June 17, 1963. Abington School District versus Chev.
A turning point in history.
Presented by Madi,
Josiah,
and Allison Broderick. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
This scene happens every day in classrooms across America. But imagine 55 years ago.
Under God. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
I can't believe that this is happening in public school. This is my classroom too. We have to recite 10 Bible verses every day and the Lord's Prayer. Does this look like a church to you? Why do I have to do this?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
As a Unitarian Universalist, this is not allowed in my house. What do my Jewish friends think? What can I do about this? I'm only 16. Maybe I'll take Mass around hands. So, one day, when the rest of the class took out their Bibles, I took out my friend's Quran. Not that I was interested in that faith. I just want my teacher to know that there are other religious books out there. Of course, I was sent to the principal's office. That night, I had an idea to write the American Civil Liberties Union. I thank you for any help that you might offer and free American youth in Pennsylvania from this gross violation of their religious rights. I even threw in a $10 bill, which is a lot of money in 1956, but that should get their attention.
And it did just that. The ACLU filed a brief on behalf of Ellery Chev to the United States District Court of the Eastern District of Pennsylvania. The ACLU argued for the abolition of the state law that required mandatory recitation of 10 Bible verses and the Lord's Prayer. Counselor, do you have anything else to add on behalf of the plaintiff? Your Honor, I think the facts speak for themselves. The Pennsylvania statute must be struck down.
But Your Honor, at the behest of Abington Township, Pennsylvania has amended the statute to excuse students who do not want to participate in these morning devotions. This new law gives parents the option to excuse their kids.
But that's not enough. Counselors, I've heard both of your arguments, and I'm ready to make my ruling. The reading of the verses, even without comment, is in effect a religious observance. The fact that some pupils, or all pupils, might be excused from the attendance of the exercises does not mitigate the obligatory nature of the ceremony. The exercises are held in school buildings and conducted by the authority of local school officials during school hours. Since the statute requires the reading of the Holy Bible, a Christian document, the practice prefers the Christian religion. The record demonstrates that it was the intention of the Commonwealth to introduce a religious ceremony into the public schools.
Your Honor, we intend to file an immediate appeal, even if it means take it to Supreme Court.
In 1962, the Supreme Court decided in Engel v. Vattel that it is unconstitutional for state officials to compose an official school prayer and encourage its recitation in public schools. In the months following this ruling, there were over 150 constitutional amendments proposed in Congress. The Supreme Court knew it needed to clarify its position on the separation of church and state. The case was heard by the Supreme Court on February 27 and 28 in 1963. The court decided on an 8-to-1 majority that Abington's policy requiring public school students to participate in classroom religious exercises violate their religious freedoms, as protected by the First Amendment of the United States Constitution, as applied to the states by the 14th Amendment. Justice Clark wrote the majority, with Justice Brennan as his most vocal concurrence. Justice Stewart provided the lone dissent. Oyez! 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 All persons having business before this Honorable Supreme Court of the United States are admonished to draw near and give their attention, for the court is now sitting. God save the United States and this honorable court.
Once again, we are called upon to consider the scope of the First Amendment, which declares that Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. We hold that the practices in Pennsylvania are unconstitutional under the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. The court feels that the government at all levels must remain neutral in matters of religion while protecting all, preferring none, and disparaging none.
I concur, Justice Clark. We also acknowledge that those who demand Bible reading and prayer in school are hoping to serve broader goals in life than compelling formal worship to God. They also look to serve the noblest principles of virtue, morality, patriotism, and good order.
But Justice Brennan, our refusal to permit religious exercises is seen not as neutral, but as a religion of secularism, or governmental support of those who think religion should be conducted only in private.
Now wait, Justice Stewart. We agree, of course, that the state may not establish a religion of secularism in the sense of showing hostility to religion. We do not agree, however, that this decision has that effect.
But there is a long history of government religious practice in the United States, including the fact that we open our own sessions with the declaration, God save this honorable court. And not to mention, Chief Justice Warren swore in President Kennedy with his hand placed on a Bible.
I beg to differ, Justice Stewart. We are at a turning point here. Our interpretation of the First Amendment must change as society changes. Whatever our founding fathers would have thought of Bible reading in public schools, our use of history must limit itself to broad purposes, not specific practices.
The place of religion in today's society is one based on the traditions of the home, the church, and the individual. In the relationship between man and religion, the state is firmly committed to the position of neutrality. This is clearly stated in the First Amendment. Applying our own to the facts of this case, we affirm the judgment previously handed down. The practices in Pennsylvania are unconstitutional. It is so ordered.
Contrary to the Justice's hopes, this does not settle the larger issue of separation of church and state.
There has been a 300% rise in campus crimes, suicides, murders, unwanted pregnancies, and low-aptitude test scores since the 1960s.
There has been 50 years of debate over the impact of this case. The questions in Abington versus Shem are as relevant today as they were in 1963.
The issue has morphed from prayer in school to Ten Commandments in public buildings to nativity scenes in City Hall, and yet the underlying questions still remain the same.
Is there a place for religion in today's society?
Does the separation of church and state have to be absolute?
How can we justify the president taking his oath by placing his hand on the very Bible we cannot read in school?
Why is God's presence always questioned in the face of tragedies such as Sandy Hook Elementary and Columbine?
Can a country founded in faith so easily disregard their religious principles?
Can a society that believes in everything still believe in something?
If we are, as Thomas Jefferson said in the Declaration of Independence,
endowed by our creators with certain unalienable rights,
we should not so easily discard that creator in the name of political correctness.
50 years ago, we escorted God right out of our culture and marched him off the public square. Now, we express our surprise that a culture without him actually reflects what it has become. God was present in the prayers of those students, hiding under desks, listening to gunfire at Sandy Hook and Columbine. He was there without permission, and he was there without offense. Do not let the prayers offered by those students be in vain. Dare to move forward with a sacred disregard for a legislation that violates your God-given right to communicate with him. God bless America.